Hey y'all, just for fun today, we're going to be taking a look at the 47RE on my '03 Ram 2500 with the Cummins and see how it's doing. This is a remarkable transmission because it's still stock and it's got almost 400,000 miles on it. Now the truck is also pretty close to stock when it comes to fueling and tuning, which is probably why it's lasted so long. Well, we're going to do our service on it. It's end of summer, mid-October now, and we'll see how that oil looks. This transmission has had some issues with burnt oil in the past, but I've been changing the oil early, around every 20,000 miles now, and it's starting to look better and better with each oil change. So we'll see what we get today. Trans fluid of the day is the Mopar. Seems like I switch it up every time I do this, but I've used Mopar in the past. I've used Napa, CarQuest. This is the CarQuest right here. Castrol, which is what I used last time, is probably my favorite. There's actually a site out there. Chrysler shows what ATF4s are recommended. I can link to that in the description below. And we got a new filter to change as well, so let's get in there. Well, as you can see, we got a little bit of oil dripping down now. It actually looks pretty good. Like, you can see that it's not black, it's red. You know, there's a little bit of sweat coming off of this gasket. These gaskets, they look nice when they first get put on, and then they do end up sweating a little bit. Nothing to really worry about. I wouldn't say I lost much oil through it, but those original plastic ones I like a lot better that are reusable. Those lasted a long time, like 200,000 miles worth of longevity on those. And here's why we really need a drain plug on these. This is what makes this such a pain compared to my G56. But they really want you to drop the pan so that you can actually see what's in it. Here's a look at our oil. It is a bit dark, but it's got a red color to it still. It's not completely black. Looks like it needed changed, you know, only after 20,000 miles. And then you can see the magnet there, just fine material, not too much of it. No chunks, which is good to see. Here's a look at our internals of the 47RE with the filter removed. Everything looks good in there, pretty clean in there. And this would be a good time to do a band adjustment if necessary, but as they say, don't fix it if it's not broke. So I'm going to leave it go. Here we got our pan cleaned up. One of the nice things about these reusable gaskets is they do hold the bolts, which not only helps when you put the pan back on the truck, but also helps that if these were to ever, you know, back off while the truck is, you know, been driving around from vibration, it'll hold the bolts and prevent them from falling clear off the truck. So that's one of the benefits of this style of gasket, even though it's not as good of a gasket as those plastic ones in my opinion. All right, my friends, pan's back on, so the fun part begins, and that's putting the new fluid in. I do have some bad news. When putting the old pan bolts back on, I actually stripped one of them on the transmission side. Now, it happened at the top, so I'm still able to use the bolt. It's threaded in about hand tight, maybe slightly over hand tight. So I think it'll hang on there, and as long as we don't have any leaks, we'll be doing just fine. So that'll be something to watch in the future. 13 foot-pounds, I think, is the torque spec. Not very tight, but I had a few bolts, a couple of them, actually about maybe 3 of them, that were barely hand tight when I took them off the truck here, so I was a little worried about them getting loose. But like I said, the gasket should help to hold them in place in case they do come loose a bit. So we'll check for leaks after our test drive and make sure that that's not going to be a problem, but I don't think it will be. So by the way, going with Mopar this time because it was on sale on Amazon. $35.99 for a 6-quart case, which is about how much it'll take to do this transmission service. And another thing we're going to look at here is, does idling the truck in neutral actually help to get more oil out of your transmission when you do your trans service, because I forgot to do that this time. And we'll just have to see. I think we still got the same amount out, but we'll measure how much quarts go in and how much quarts came out of the truck and see if it's close to 6 quarts or if it's closer to 5. So to conclude the video, I'm going to answer the question about idling in neutral. It seems like idling in neutral may help a little bit to get just a little bit more fluid out of the trans. So somewhere around 1/4 of a quart to 1/3 of a quart is about the difference that I noticed. We got a good 5.5 quarts out of the truck. There was a little bit of spillage, so call it 5 3/4. And I put 5 3/4 back in the truck. So we didn't quite take a full 6 quarts like we normally do. So I think that is the difference between not idling in neutral and idling in neutral for about 30 seconds before you do your oil change. So hope you all enjoyed the video. I will have a segment coming up over here on the G56. That's going to be an interesting video. I'll have some information to share in that one. Stay tuned for that. Sometime in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I think I'll have that one up as well.